Hello and welcome to our international audience. My name is Peter Ashley. Today on Five Eyes, I'll be speaking with a woman who was recently voted into the top 100 list of Black Britons. A former jazz and soul singer who has founded an event which has become one of the premier music events anywhere in the world. The Oscars of Black Music, the Music of Black Origin Awards. The very talented and beautiful Miss Kanya King. Hello, Kanya.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Did you say I was a soul and jazz singer?
Oh, this is look. This is on one of your biographies.
No.
This is not true.
No. I wish.
That was in The Guardian as well.
Oh well, then it must be true. It was in The Guardian. No, unfortunately, I'd love to have that accolade, but I'm behind the scenes as opposed to in front singing.
Right. Now, Kanya, you are known as the founder of the MOBO Awards.
Yes.
And we'll come back to the MOBO Awards shortly. But for now, let's get to know Kanya King, the person. What are your origins?
My origins. My father's Ghanaian.
Okay.
My mother's Irish.
Right.
I'm the youngest girl of 9 children. And in fact, Kanya is a Ghanaian name. And it means the youngest one. And I was until my brother came along.
Right.
But of course they couldn't change my name then. Youngest but one.
Right. Do you ever visit Ghana?
Oh wow. Do you know what? It's a real emotional journey for me going to Ghana. My father died when I was 13 and he always wanted to go back there and almost carry the mantle, and in many ways I kind of feel that I'm living his dream. So even though obviously I'm surrounded by a lot of family and friends, I haven't been able to take that journey as of yet, even though I've got very close. So it's something I'm hoping to do this year.
Okay. When people see Kanya King, they see a glamorous, well-presented woman. But I understand things were not always so glam, and that on the way to becoming the woman we see today, you held down several not so glamorous jobs. Tell us a little about that.
Yeah, I've always worked very hard. I looked very young when I started MOBO. I've still got the scars, put it that way. But I've, ever since a young age, when you are the youngest girl of 9, and my mother used to go to the jumble sales to find me clothes, and obviously they'd be handed down to me, and as you can imagine, when I got them, they weren't very nice. So hence, I had to have a job from an early age. I had a paid per hour, and I used to work in a dry cleaners, a bakery, I had cleaning jobs. You name it, I would do it. Right. And, so I was used to being very independent. My mum used to rely on me to kind of help pay the phone bills because, I was never in any trouble, I was working hard and I was able to support the family.
Right, so very down-to-earth beginnings. Now, onto the MOBO Awards. The world already had the Grammys. The Americans had the Soul Train Awards, and in this country there was already the Brit Awards. So what inspired you to start the MOBOs? Why did you think there was a need for another award show?
Well, first of all, the music that I was brought up on. I was listening to a diversity of music genres, from reggae, hip-hop, R&B, and no one else was incorporating those sort of music genres into their shows. So I went to see all the major organisations and they said, well, there isn't an audience that will be into this, it's niche music, etc. So I felt that the industry was dominated by big business, by pop, by mainstream, and then needing another awards ceremony to celebrate the many sort of genres of music that I was into, because I felt that R&B music was generating millions of pounds worth of sales around the world, but yet was completely unrecognised, and I wanted to give that sort of platform to the music. Okay,
and how many countries is the MOBOs broadcast in?
Nearly 90 countries.
90 countries?
Yeah, so a lot of countries.
Wow.
Yeah.
Alright, so I understand that you were so passionate about the venture when you started that you even remortgaged your house.
Yes, so when I think back to that, that scenario, it didn't make much business sense, but of course, sometimes in life you get limited opportunities and you've got to run with them. And I felt that it's something I believed in, I was very passionate about it, and I felt, after trying to get sponsorship from many huge corporations, that if they didn't believe it and I did, I needed to put my money where my mouth was, and so I did.
At that stage, failure was not an option.
Absolutely. And in life you're going to have many obstacles, and it's not every obstacle you're going to be able to overcome, but you've got to keep on trying. And one thing about me is I just don't give up easily, and I think that's really important, because if you want to be an entrepreneur in business, there are going to be many failures, and through those failures will you learn success.
Right. I understand also that you have a background as a promoter and as a senior researcher for Carlton Television.
Sure.
Did that help you when you were putting together what was to become a mammoth event?
I mean, in many ways it did. I mean, from a very young age, I was organising gigs. It was a hobby of mine. I wasn't expected to get paid for them. In fact, a lot of my friends were very talented musicians, phenomenal artists with brilliant talent, but they had nowhere to kind of showcase their music. So I said, well, let's organise a few gigs, not expecting many people to turn up. And thousands used to show up, and we'd often get a lot of celebrities. And I thought, well, there's an audience here. We're not massively promoting it. We don't have much budget, yet this is an incredible success. So that kind of gave me the impetus to want to create a much bigger event that would provide an international platform.
Sure. I also understand that you were part of the production team on the Crystal Rose show.
Yes,
How was that?
One of the kind of, as you would call, honorary members.
Okay.
I used to see Crystal Rose about when I was doing because I had many jobs and I used to work on film sets as well. And I used to bump into Crystal, and one time she told me about this idea that she had. And she said to me, oh, we've got a pilot show that we're doing at the Tabernacle. And I could see that she was throwing a lot of, good money after bad money, and I said to her, look, I gave her lots of suggestions. I said, look, Tabernacle, sound quality and this, that, the other. And she said, well, look, you've got great ideas. Why don't you come and help us? So I did. I turned up, and obviously, it was a work experience because obviously she couldn't afford to pay anyone at that time. And so I contributed many ideas, and then, Crystal obviously managed to convince, when Colton got the franchise, to give her the opportunity for a slot. Right. And so in the first year, they wanted to surround Crystal because she was very new to presenting game. They wanted to surround her by lots of experienced people, so none of us got a look in that had originally worked on the show. But I wasn't going to give up there. So the second series, I made sure I kind of, I didn't tell Crystal, I just basically, applied for the job, and they just took me on, and it was a great experience because, again, it's a great experience for what I'm doing now. It was about developing lots of ideas. You have a gem of an idea for a show that you want to do, and then you're starting at point A, and then you have to decide the guests that were going to be on the show, how it was going to work, a beginning, a middle, and end. And each Tuesday we'd record at LWT, and it used to be really, worthwhile experience.
So did that actually help with the televisual side of the MOBOs?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, I've always had lots of ideas, but obviously everybody can have ideas. It's the implementation that's important. Yeah. So it enabled me to recognise what you needed for a television show in order to make it work, the team that you needed to have in place, which was important, and the commitment. And of course, I was able to go from there to eventually kind of realising my dream.
Excellent. So far as the award show that you've created is concerned, did you ever think, oh my God, what have I got myself into?
Many times. I think, in the lead up to any huge event, there's millions of things that happen that you plan and prepare for. But there's also lots of things that happen that, one can never plan for. And that's sometimes artists forgetting their passports or not even realising that you need one to get out of America to come here. And, then you've got to suddenly think, oh my gosh, the show's tomorrow. Do we need to replace them? Can we get them over here by private jet? In the lead up to events, you think, oh my God, why am I doing this? Do I need this pain? But hey, afterwards, when you have a successful show and the feedback is brilliant, you think, you know what, maybe I can stick with this.
Okay. Now, the MOBOs, it's become the black music industry's, or Oscars, so to speak. But for our younger viewers, they should perhaps consider the fact that although they might see a sensational, exciting end result, they don't see the behind-the-scenes hard work that has gone into creating that end product. Tell us how many hours work you might expect to put in on an average day when the MOBO Awards show is approaching.
Wow. Well, gosh, I'd say I could start at 8 or 9 a.m. in the morning and I could be here to 12 midnight.
Wow.
So it's a long day.
That is a
And
long
that
day.
might be just filled in the calls regarding tickets. People wanting free tickets. But there's obviously lots of things happening. You've got the PR and marketing of the events. You've got the staging of the awards. We produced a TV show ourselves. You're liaising with the broadcaster. Obviously you've got, you know, the nominations and you've got loads of queries about that. You've got so many different, you've got production meetings that happen on a weekly basis with the producer and the director and a huge team, because you're deciding on so many different things. What's the design of this year's show going to be? You know, are we going to be able to make it? Is it going to fall within budget? The list is then, it goes on and on and on.
Right. So do you have a very large team?
Do you know what, our core team is very small, but obviously in productions, in the lead, you take on a lot of freelancers. You know, we don't have them all year round,
Sure.
but we would take them on in the last few months of the show. But otherwise, it's a small core team.
After the break, I'll be speaking some more with MOBO Awards founder Kanya King. Stay tuned. Kanya, of all the artists who have appeared on the MOBOs, who's your favourite?
Oh my gosh, favourites.
You've got to have a favourite.
I mean, it's more about, you know, who's an artist who's very humble, having achieved a lot
You've
of
got to
different
have
things.
a favourite though, come on.
I'm not avoiding the question. I'm telling you my reasons and what I'm looking for. And even though there are even actually some artists that haven't necessarily been on the show that I appreciate. I mean, CBE Wonder is a great example of a phenomenal talent. I mean, I've been fortunate enough to dine with him, gone into a restaurant, and everyone just applauded him. And he hasn't done anything, he's just got in the door. And he's just amazing, very funny, very witty, and, you know, an artist that's born out of adversity. And obviously, you know, that to me, I'm just like humbled in his presence. And I think a lot of greats, I mean, a lot of the older artists, you know, like BB King, we've had BB King on the show. To me, you know, he was an artist he was nearly 74, and yet here he was learning from a lot of the younger generations. And I just was just really, you know, impressed by his stamina, his, you know, wisdom, and he was just so easy to work with.
Yeah, I was there that night. Fantastic.
Oh, right. Absolutely brilliant. Never forget it.
Who would you like to have on the MOBO Award show who hasn't been on
Who
yet?
hasn't been on? Gosh. There's always many, I'm sure. Who would you like? I should ask, who would you like to have on the show that we haven't had?
I'm not MOBO founder, so it's, who would I like to see on the MOBO Award show? I couldn't tell you.
Really?
I couldn't tell.
I mean, there are so many icons and legends out there, so I suppose maybe it would be one of them. Obviously, Stevie Wonder anytime,
Yes.
of course. Quincy Jones, obviously not a performing artist, but obviously nevertheless extremely talented. So yeah, you know, I think we've had artists like Diana Ross who've just flown in just to attend the show, and that's always nice. They're not actually doing anything, but they just want to see it, and I think that's wonderful.
Right. Do you find it particularly difficult to get the better established US artists to collect their awards?
I think, well, not difficult. What the difficulties are in the cost that's involved in bringing an artist over here. So if you imagine, it's not just one artist you're talking about. You're talking about entourages, and you might be talking about whether it's a makeup person, a hairdresser, a bodyguard, their personal assistant, their manager. You know, the numbers go on. So you could be talking about $250,000 to $500,000, which is a lot of money for a show, one show. So that to me is more the difficulty. It's the kind of economics involved, as opposed to are they willing to do it.
Okay. A question from off at a tangent.
Okay.
Who has been the most difficult artist you've had to deal with,
Difficult.
and why?
Difficult. Do you know what? I mean, artists can be difficult in many different ways, to be quite honest. I wouldn't say there's one overall difficult artist. I mean, each show presents its own problems.
Okay.
And that could be a reason like they don't turn up for their sound check on time. So you give them a time, and then 3 hours later they turn up, and then they don't realise, well, they do know that you've got a show opening in 3 hours, and then when they finish their sound check, you want to try and say, well, hold on a second, we've got to get set up, ready to go, and they still want more time on the stage. Those sorts of difficulties. Sometimes you have artists who, decide that they want to go shopping at Harrods on the kind of afternoon of the show. Not ideal, and then they get lost, and you have to send out a search party for them. I mean, there's so many, it goes on and on. That's just normal.
Right. When they do come over, it is, as legend has it, more difficult to deal with the US elite than their British counterparts. Is that true, do you think?
Not always, but of course, if an international artist is coming, and it's not just the Americans, but if an international artist is coming over, they're here for kind of a short period of time. So they want to, do so much in that period, which is unrealistic. And so, they want to be, they want all these designers' clothes, they have they almost want you to make and design an outfit especially for them. And they might only have 2 days, or they might have arrived the day before. So those are the difficulties that can present themselves. Obviously, British artists that are here, hopefully they've had enough time to think about it, what they want to do, what they want to wear, what they want their show to look like. So that tends to be a lot easier to work with.
All right. So what we get at the end of the day is a super smooth event on TV, but legend has it that, for example, Mel B didn't get on with P. Diddy when she was the host. How do you manage the large egos that are inevitably going to be about when you're putting on this yearly extravaganza?
I mean, with difficulty, of course, but you just have to be firm. At the end of the day, if an artist, we've had situations where an artist has said to us, they want to do a particular performance that wasn't appropriate for the show, and if they don't do it, they're not going to perform. So we've had to say, well, okay, then don't perform. I'm sorry, we can't allow that to go on. And that's hard, because sometimes they might just walk off, but you've got to do what's in the best interest of your show, and obviously you've got to have an integrity about it.
All right. What other ventures do you have in the pipeline, Kanya?
Right, we do so many different things. We had a student pilot tour last year. It was phenomenally successful. We had artists like Killer Keller and Sway kind of headlining those events. And we had Q&A activities during the day to give an opportunity for students who want to get into the business to ask questions of the experts themselves. And we got some amazing questions. And, you had Sway's, who's effectively an entrepreneur, talking about how he got into the business and how he markets and promotes his own music. So those are really exciting ventures that we do. We're also kind of relaunching our website, and we have effectively 3 websites in one. We've got our MOBO awards, you've got the gallery, past winners, etc. We've got our business to business area, which is about market statistics, facts, press releases. And then we've got something that's really exciting called MOBO Experience, and that's about me.
Okay.
And what that means is anybody who wants to get into the business, we've got various industry experts who'll give them, who'll do an interview. Some of them will provide work experience at the companies they work for. I mean, there's various different opportunities that we offer. We've got a new project that we're kind of piloting called 1 in 10, where it allows a student to win a competition where they could be amongst 10 people asking direct questions to whether it's a DJ, an artist, a promoter, or someone in the music industry. So there's lots of opportunities there, and that's really exciting.
Excellent. So Kanya, what other ventures do you have in the pipeline then?
Wow, so many different things. I mean, we've got books that we're going to be released at the end of the year. We are going to be doing more kind of student activities, because that's really close to our hearts. It's kind of the next generation that are coming through. We are obviously big in wanting to kind of mentor and work experience. We've got like a new charity that will be setting up, which will provide the opportunity for people to learn from people in the business. Providing role models. We do various different shows in different territories. We have our Dutch MOBO Awards. We might move out into other areas. So it's, the world is our oyster, as they say.
So when is this year's MOBOs?
Usually the awards are end of September, beginning of October, and we have a number of venues booked. Okay. So we'll be announcing the date within the next month. So.
Okay. Any sneak previews to the guests that might be there?
Oh no, we can't give that
Come
away.
on.
We always like to keep lots of surprises because, you know, it's no one ever knows who's going to appear on our show. And I think that's the quite exciting thing about it. You know that they're going to be phenomenal, talented artists, but you're never quite sure. Because even though we announce some of them, we don't announce. There's a lot of them that we don't announce. We keep quite close to our chest.
Okay. And finally, Kanya, if you could sum Kanya King up in one word, what would that word be?
I think maybe a word I'd use is resilient. I mean, I'm one of these people in life, if things go wrong, I'm very easygoing and laid back. I brush myself off and start again. So I'm good at overcoming lots of obstacles, and I think resilient might be as good a word as any.
Right, thank you to the beautiful and resilient Kanya King.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. This has been Peter Ashley with Kanya King on Five Eyes TV Profiles. We'll certainly look forward to the next MOBO Awards show.